Hi there, and welcome to another Cigar Advisor Cigar Review Panel, Cigar Review. I'm Gary Korb, Executive Editor for Cigar Advisor, and if I look exhausted, it's because I just got back from my Zumba class. Anyway, today we are going to be reviewing the CAO Signature Series Robusto, and so without further ado, let's meet our delightful review panel. He wishes he was taller. Please give a warm welcome to Fred Lunt.
That's it.
Complete the action. Do I wish I were a baller?
Our young prince, fresh prince.
He looks great in anything with a plunging neckline. It's Tommy Z-Man, everybody.
Spit all over the table.
Wow.
Very nice.
All right.
No, we won't be selling those.
The king lives. And finally, he has a master's degree in lasagna technology. It's John Pulo.
It is a fine and noble art.
Yes,
I'll have you know.
yes, of course.
Takes engineering.
All right, so let's get to the stats on this fine-looking cigar. It's a CAO Signature Series Robusto. It is made in Nicaragua, I believe. And the dimensions are 4.5 by 50, which actually, in traditional standards, would be a Rothschild. But they call it a Robusto. And this is what we've said before. Sometimes they'll give the cigar a name that doesn't go with its size, but that's at their discretion. The filler is a Nicaraguan, Dominican, and Honduran. So that's a nice blend. And then we have a Connecticut broadleaf binder for a little sweetness. And the wrapper is really gorgeous, too. It's a solidly chocolate-colored Ecuadorian Sumatra wrapper. And the Signature Series is available in 3 sizes, the Robusto, which we're smoking today, a Lonsdale, and a Robusto Extra, which I think is closer to a Toro. It's like a 5 3/4 by
54.
54, right?
Yes. We'll talk
All right.
about that.
They come in boxes of 18 cigars. You can get the Robusto in 5 packs, and the average MSRP price, that's the list price, is $6.
Wow.
So it's going to be less than that, from Famous. And of course,
Nice.
the average Famous price per box is only $85.
That's
Really, yeah, it's really
For it's an
solidly
18
built
count
cigar.
box, right?
I beg your
It's
pardon?
an 18 count box, right?
Yeah, 18 count box, but they're way under $100.
Wow.
And of course, it is exclusive
Yes.
to Famous Smoke Shop. And we like that too. So anyway, let's go down the line to Fred. How you doing so far with our Signature Series?
So far, it's pretty consistent. Burn line is pretty thin, slightly wavy, but the ash is very solid, nice, like whitish gray. The flavors are very creamy up front. Not a whole lot of pepper, just a little bit of zest, a lot of lemon, and more like an orange. Some leather, earth, a little bit of toast, and a slightly salty note on the baseline cigar. I actually tasted like a saltine cracker. It was kind of like that mixture of saltiness and very crisp, like toast bread. And so that's what I got so far. Tell me, what are you pulling?
Fred was just talking about the buffet at Waffle House, I think, that he just went to.
I did not mention syrup.
This cigar is an interesting stick. First of all, for the price, it's amazing. But even though the blend is kind of complex, there's a lot of different tobaccos in here and stuff.
Yeah.
But I don't think the cigar is overly complex.
No.
I felt it was, but then again, we had a Robusto here, so a bigger size. I think you're going to find some changes in complexity. I think this was pretty straightforward with flavors, and that's not a bad thing. I mean, we always talk about that sometimes a cigar is just good that has a nice kind of flavor profile that goes all the way through, and that's what I think this one does. Yeah. What do you think, John?
Well,
by the way, your notes are a little wet.
Yeah, I know. Thanks for that. Appreciate the shower.
And his phone.
And everything. So nice construction on this, because I want to back up and start at the very beginning. So the CAO, this may remind you of the CAO just because of the virtue of the CAO gold band that it shares. But this is a definite step in a different direction. This is a rustic-looking Sumatra, slightly oily, bumpy, a little bit toothy, but it has a nice draw. Burns like a champ. Every one I'm looking here has pretty much an even burn line and a nice compact white ash. And then we get into the flavors. So for some of my flavors, I don't know that I'm necessarily picking up some of the stuff that you're grabbing, Fred, but this is, at least we can agree that it opens a little bit dark with a little bit of snap to it.
Yeah.
A little bit of spice. As we get a little bit further down, you're going to see some of the tangy flavors, I think, from some of that more complex mix. And to your point, the complexity is something that's going to develop over time, especially with this. And even being such a small cigar, like you were talking about before, it's not going to be a long burn, but it's a nice slow burn. So, but it doesn't take too long to get to some of these flavors.
No, I found that the first few puffs were kind of, it started off with a sweet nuttiness almost, and now, and I'm about just about a half inch in, I'm getting more of like a cedary. It's mostly woody and earthy is what I'm getting out of the cigar. I found that the smoke is balanced. It's definitely more in the medium side. It's not as mild as the CAO Gold.
No,
you know,
definitely.
we were talking about the band
Not at all.
similarity. It's
That's
definitely a lot
that's
more.
about as similar as they get.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot more happening in terms of flavor there. But I'm just kind of enjoying it. It's smooth and creamy, and that's what I like. It's got a little sweetness in there.
Oh, the sweetness is definitely there. Well, I didn't mention flavors that I had gotten, and
Okay.
The first thing, the total difference from CAO Gold. I mean, this has some oomph to it, especially right off the bat, but it's not peppery, so I don't know what's giving it that kind of pop, like as soon as you start smoking it. But I'm telling you, I smoked a couple of these this size, a couple a little larger, and the same thing for all of them. I got you talk about a tanginess, a very dark fruit, like a dark cherry.
Really?
Yes, absolutely.
There it is.
Okay.
Like,
Yep.
I felt, especially the last Robusto I smoked on the weekend, that flavor just banged all the way through the cigar from start to finish. I like that flavor. I like the dark cherry note. I almost got like a little bit of,
see that.
as I got further down about halfway, almost like a Zambuca, and I know I get that sometimes on
Yeah.
the flavor profile. But it's when you go and you're actually tasting it, when you're doing that with your palate, that's what I pick up. So you got the dark cherry thing too,
Absolutely.
and I got that heavy in every one I smoked.
So
but
much,
I like that.
Not so much heavy. I mean, I got a
I
lot
just
of
felt
the.
heavy, like it was that flavor carried.
that was the
I
dominant.
see exactly where you guys are going. I didn't get it as granular as dark cherry, but I definitely got a very fruity like flavor in notes. And did you get that where it's kind of zesty, but it's almost more like an orange zest, like that citrusy sort of tang to it, especially a little bit on the finish.
And that's what it becomes
Yes.
closer after you get down to about an inch. That was
Yes.
kind of that zip I was talking about. That once we're only about a half inch, 3/4 of an inch so
But
far.
you know what, I don't
it's
hear a-
eventually going to transition, and you're going to find more of that.
You see how these
Absolutely.
are burning them.
Do you know what I don't-
Everybody hold their
You know what I
their
don't hear
cigar
anybody
up, I mean,
mentioning?
look
It's
at this.
pepper. There's very little pepper in
it's-
it. It's not spicy.
Yes.
No, it's not peppery,
No,
which
not peppery.
which is I like. Although the retro hail does have a little pepper in
Yes.
it.
You know, guys,
And,
everybody, I don't mean this to sound like we're a little closer than we actually are, but everybody hold that up like towards the middle, and you can see this
it's
cigar
burning
is
great.
It's well made.
burning consistently.
Very well made.
And,
For
and
everybody.
the ashes,
Pretty solid.
it's not.
Tap that
it's a
ash,
little-
Gary.
It's
We're
a
gonna do a
little
cheers for a
flaky. It's a
second
little
there.
flaky, but it's burning well, and that's the main thing.
Aren't we all?
Some more than
Anyhow.
others.
So this one is rolling along. I'm getting in the retro hail on the baseline. I got the light pepper, which I got here, some cedar, and like a wine-like tannin.
Yeah, the
was
cedar's
in
there,
Maybe
man.
that's that
There's
cherry
definitely
thing. I don't
cedar.
know what you're.
You
I'm not
guys
getting
don't get that?
I'm not getting
You
a
don't get that?
fruity.
I found it very
Cedar?
crisp.
No, you didn't get the cherry thing when I got that in every single one I smoked. But everybody's palate's different.
Yeah, I think that's probably something that it may eventually develop because one thing I noticed
Yeah.
is that when the cigar is resting, it's not like it's sitting here pouring off smoke as you see some do when
Right.
you see in the ashtray, but you take a nice big rip or a nice big puff and get a big rip of smoke out of it, and it's got like a snap of dried fruit in there.
Yep.
Okay.
And then there's a little
Yes.
bit of a hit of spice on the tongue, so maybe that's what you were sensing.
Yeah,
And eventually
it's
that-
like this.
it
There is some
develops.
fruitiness in there, but I'm not getting the full, hit of it.
Since
whatever.
we're on the retrohale, did any of you notice a very crispness on the aftertaste of the retrohale? And it was almost like an apple, or like how it is when you're
No.
inhaling and it's a cool day, and it's just like that sensation that
Yeah.
it's very crisp on your mouth.
Yeah, I
Okay.
just did
It's
it
very
again.
light.
A little
It's very
bit.
Well,
pleasant.
it's interesting you bring that up. Here's why. We've been talking a little bit about this lately with a couple of cigars. they're like red wine cigars. Tannins, right? That drying sensation that hits the inside of your mouth. You and I were talking about
Yes.
this the other
Yep.
day, and there's a couple of cigars that have really exhibited that kind of profile lately. This, again, is one of them. It has this little bit of, so if you're not necessarily sensing that dried fruit sensation, you are sensing kind of like a dry crispness,
Yes.
along with all that wood that reminds you of the inside of an oaking barrel
Yeah.
from wine.
Yeah.
So, like, I like drier red wines, and this to me is a red wine cigar. And if you were probably going to put it with something, I think putting it with a dry red wine would be a little bit of overkill. But you put it something with, like, next time you go somewhere, wherever it is you buy wine, you look at the label and you see the tasting notes. Something that has a little bit of spice, or like Fred said, apple or vanilla or herbs, in the red wine tasting notes. Those might be good indicators of what might be good to go with the cigar instead of the usual bourbons and whiskeys.
Yeah.
Look at a
Coffee.
Pinot
Pinot
Noir, because there's a real
Pinot
nice,
Noir would be
well,
great,
there's
'cause there's a lot of fruitiness
there.
in that.
Well, I recently wrote an article on pairing red wines with cigars about a month ago or so from when we're filming this, and I would have put this with that cigar, with that article, and I would say that you don't want this with a dry. Like I said, I said a Pinot, because there's a nice fruitiness. There's really nice. Like those black currants and that kind of flavors.
I noticed that when you get past the midsection, the sweetness sort of disappears, and it's kind of nudged out by more of a sharper, woody flavor. That's what I was
Yeah.
getting. I'll see if it's consistent here, but that's.
Well, I'm
what I
glad
have.
you mentioned that, because once there's two bands on this cigar. There is the CAO band, and then there's what's the Signature Series band.
Right.
Yeah.
By the time it becomes warm enough for you to be able to take off that Signature Series band, some of the flavors smooth out. So some of the intricacies that we've been seeing kind of start to melt away, and you're left with more of a straightforward, floral, woody, a little bit of spiciness laying a thing across the tongue, kind of the same way medium salsa does. All right? So
Okay.
not spicy, but just like a little bit of tingle left on the tongue.
Yeah.
So that
Yeah, little stimulation.
Dip your chip, and it's the medium salsa of cigars.
It's got a decent finish on it. I mean, it does linger.
Yeah.
It's not like
nice.
it just. It's pretty good. So anyhow.
Gary, so what do we think?
I would definitely recommend this for a newer cigar smoker who probably wants to get into something, who's been smoking mild cigars, wants to transition to something with a little more, body to it. I would definitely recommend this. And I tell you, it goes great with morning coffee too.
For a $6 or less cigar, that's $6 MSRP, so it's going to be less.
Oh yeah.
I tell you what, this could be a great everyday smoke, or something to put a lot of in your humidor and carry around with you. And as you said, give to a newer smoker to say, hey, you want to bump up in flavor a little bit, try this. For the price, this is hell of a value. Frederic?
Well, I'm going to agree with Gary that this is something that if you want to step up a little bit higher, I would say you could start, especially if you're working on your way down CIO, you start out with the gold, then you maybe work your way up to this. And this is a nice, very, sort of medium-bodied cigar. It's not spicy. It's just very creamy. It's not overly complex. It's got a nice amount of flavors to it. It gets pretty straightforward after a little while. And for the price, I mean, you really can't beat that. $85 for a box.
So you gave your final thoughts?
Yeah.
I'm going to give my final thoughts. This is a red wine cigar. This is also the medium salsa of cigars when it comes to spice. Nice even burn, excellent performer for the money. CAO every day, you can do it with this CAO Signature Series. I will say one thing, we talked about size before.
Yeah.
You step up to the next size up, the Robusto Extra at 5 3/4 by 54, the flavors really jive.
Yeah, I would imagine.
So this
I
is
would
good.
imagine, yeah.
And if you want even more out of it, it costs you a few more dollars. But Robusto is a great place to start. You want start there. You want to step up to see what something in a larger format does. Go to the Robusto
Yeah,
Extra and see
definitely.
how much different it gets.
And the Lonsdale will have a bit more of that zestiness.
Yes.
Because a lot of that derives from the Sumatra wrapper.
Yeah.
So
Not
you're
my
gonna get-
not my favorite.
No.
I like this and
This is-
the larger sizes better.
Sweet spot, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
All right.
Cigar.
So my final thoughts. I think this is a very great value. As always, it's got that CAO, quality to it. I like this one a lot better than my sample. This has a lot more flavor to it. I don't know, maybe it's just the time of day or something like that, but I would definitely highly recommend it again especially for newer cigar smokers. It's medium, but it has a lot of flavor. It's like full flavored medium, right? So anyway, that's what I think of this cigar, and it's very tasty. It has a nice aroma too.
Yeah, very
I
nice.
didn't
aroma,
mention
actually.
that,
I
but
meant to mention
agree.
that.
As we were sitting here, I was, smelling the aroma. It's really, really good. So definitely check this one out. It's got enough flavor in it to keep you interested. And, so CAO Signature Series, Robusto. Yes.
Do it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's it for today. And then I would like to remind you that we are also on the Twitter, right? We are on the Facebook.
The Twitter?
We are on the Instagram. We are on anything at social media. We are there. And don't forget about our live show every
Tommy's on
Wednesday.
Grindr?
Tommy, take it away.
Facebook Live. We host an hour-plus show generally on Wednesdays, mostly at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 2 p.m. Central, 12 noon specific, sometimes on Thursdays, mostly Wednesdays.
Don't forget to follow Tommy on Grindr.
I ate my grinder.
Thank you.
So anyway.
So Tuesday, sometimes Wednesdays, sometimes Thursdays.
Well, sometimes Thursdays, mostly because we have a lot of dinners here. We're at Leaf Cigar Bar and Restaurant in Easton, which is attached to the offices at Famous. And a lot of times, as you know, we have manufacturers in for dinners. We had Nick Perdomo very recently, Rocky before that. We've had everybody. You name them, they're here. Fuentes,
Right.
Saka, whatever. So when they're in, they come in on Thursdays. So usually we'll try to move the show to a Thursday so we can have those guys on the show.
So Wednesdays, sometimes Thursdays,
Sometimes we
occasionally a
oversleep.
Monday, because consistency is what has made us a success.
Well, and the last thing is people will say to me, why don't you do the show at like 8 at night? You'd have so many more viewers. I'm like, because we're at home with our families eating dinner at friggin' 8 o'clock at night.
That's right.
All right,
Anyway,
that's it. They're
that's
out
it
of
for
here.
today.
Get the frick out.
Thank you
Look
very
at my
much,
ass.
and happy smokes.